Howdy folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory and today is Saturday, June the 16th, 2018. And I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming to the show for the first time the CEO and director of a company called Blockstrain, Mr. Robert Galarza. And Robert is going to introduce us to a whole new technology and a whole new way of utilizing the blockchain. And you can find out all about Blockstrain by going to their website at blockstrain.io, and you can learn about what's happening with their stock on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol DNAX. Robert, welcome to the Daily Coin.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad that you're here. And like I said, the name of your company is Blockstrain. You are trading currently on the Toronto's Venture Exchange under the symbol DNAX, and I understand that you guys are going to be on the over-the-counter market as well, but you're not currently listed. What's going on with that?
Yeah. Well, Rory, we are a Canadian company, predominantly because the Canadian landscape for legalization is coming to the forefront right now, and we're really excited about what's going to be developing up here, and hopefully a lot of the lessons and structure that we can build up in the Canadian market, we can bring down to the U.S. Myself and my partner, Tommy Stevens, who actually truly is the real founder of the company, I'm always very humbled by his incredible technological skill. He's just a genius. We're both originally from Southern California, so we got a lot of lessons down in that marketplace first. But we are also going to be on the OTC probably in about a month or so. We filed all the paperwork. There's a process I'm learning to it once you go public here in Canada to be able to get on the OTC. So we anticipate about 30 days from now. But in the meantime, folks can just keep an eye on us on the TSX Venture Exchange under DNAX or DNAX.V and see, keep up to date with all the exciting stuff we're working on.
Yeah, and they can also keep track of everything over at blockstrain.io as well. And you said you were up in Canada, and in the next month, I believe it's July the 1st, the end of cannabis prohibition comes to the fore. And Canada is about to become the first developed country to announce the full legalization of cannabis. And this is a major deal. And do you see that impacting the U.S. market as well? And if so, what will that do to the overall market, in your opinion?
Yeah, we sure hope so, Rory. I mean, to be perfectly honest, my business partner and I both started in. I think a lot of us don't start in the cannabis industry, right? We all start from more traditional business backgrounds. And as this industry has evolved over the past 5, 6, 7 years, we've been developing technology in this ecosystem. And what we've really seen down in the U.S. is a lot of excitement on the West Coast, a lot of market opportunity, a lot of curiosity, a lot of money, but a lot of confusion and a lot of disparity and also a lot of dirty business happening in terms of not necessarily creating clean product. So for us as technologists, as enterprise software developers, and folks that want to build solutions, the Canadian market was incredibly attractive. We came up here in 2016 originally to start developing, and really because for the first time you have government working with business to create a system for legalization and really to trying to find a way to have legal producers produce product to get to legal consumers. Eliminating the black market, keeping it in the hands of the kids, getting safe product to those that need it as patients and those that want it for recreational use.
Exactly. And as far as legalization, I mean, this is something that is probably going to literally explode over the next year, in particular in Canada. And I believe that what we're going to see are grow companies pop up in the United States to be able to supply the Canadian market, because I think I read that the demand is going to triple or quadruple over the next year in Canada. And how many more businesses are starting at this point that you're aware of?
Well, you know what's exciting for us, Rory? It's you're seeing literally one of the biggest explosions in modern history in terms of business. And businesses starting to diversify their portfolio into the cannabis sector. The interesting thing about the Canadian market, though, is from what we've seen, or what excites us, is you're having a lot more sophisticated companies up here entering into the fray, like such as including ourselves, that are really trying to work together to create the best system. There's a very, very community-based feeling up here, a sense of collaboration. And in the U.S. market, kind of what we saw was it was such a green rush that it kind of was like the gold rush, right? It's like the
Right.
49ers in California, where they're all going at each other's throats to just get the gold. And unfortunately, that doesn't build appropriate infrastructure, and it doesn't build the right kind of systems to be able to help the regulators that are trying, and the regulatory bodies are wanting to make this work. They want to make a system, but this is a new industry for them. And it's one we're taken out of the shadows into the light. And so it's really important for us to work together to create transparency. And the thing that we're excited about is the work we're doing and the work that some of our partners are doing to create that clarity, to try to provide this model in Canada. We hope that it can speak to the U.S. market, and if nothing else, at least get the product to a Schedule II, so that it can be used for medical purposes. I think I read 86% to 90% of the U.S. right now approves of medical marijuana legalization. That is, and that's in every state across the board. Red, blue,
Right.
doesn't matter.
Yep.
And it's important for patients to have good medicine, especially with the opiate epidemic that's going on right now, and
Yep.
getting people off that really nasty stuff and away from the fentanyl that's literally killing people at an exponential rate in the U.S. and Canada. It's pretty scary stuff. So we're excited about what's going on up here, and we hopefully we can influence in a positive way the legislators down in the U.S. to make some changes as well.
Yeah, we're hoping so too. We're hoping a friend of mine, friend and colleague, has dubbed the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. He calls him Jeff Reefer Madness Sessions because of his attempts to restart the war on drugs. The so-called war on drugs, and hopefully Trump is going to actually fire him, and hopefully we'll get someone as appointed as the Attorney General that's a little bit more progressive in thought as far as how to address like you just pointed out, upwards of 90% of all thinking Americans see the benefits of medical marijuana. And to be able to, there was just an article that I was reading yesterday talking about that it's now scientifically proven that cannabis can help people to get off of opioids and to avoid even starting the use of them. And how do you guys are a blockchain company, right?
Yeah, we are. Well, I mean, let me kind of backtrack that. Our name sounds, is a little bit, misleading in that we utilize blockchain technology to be able to create verification, transparency, immutability of record. But really, at our core, we're an enterprise company that is developing a platform that helps verify and validate product, and then provide that transparency through the ecosystem of cannabis, so that at the end of the day, the consumers can have access to immediate laboratory testing information dynamically that's been generated from the lab, our lab partners on the front end, and basically we were automating a lot of the processes as well, because what we're starting to see in the ecosystem up here in Canada and even in the U.S. as well is, in order to make something legal and safe, and the product safe, and implement good manufacturing practices, right now there's a lot of manual paperwork and manual labor that goes into it. And we, it's our job as technologists to provide automated solutions that can digitize that process, make it faster and easier, more efficient, and create greater visibility for both the producers and, at the end of the day, the regulators as well.
Right, and the blockchain technology will help to make that more transparent. Is that right? As far as being able to actually track step by step by step from seed to end user, and all the steps in between, that will you'll be able to verify every aspect of what's happened with that particular strain. Is that right?
You're exactly right, Rory. I mean, what we've looked at is as a big data company, which is essentially what we do is work in data and aggregation and intelligent information. What we've learned about blockchain technology is it's incredibly the function of it is incredibly useful in the supply chain sector. It's why you have
Right.
companies like IBM and Walmart and FedEx, and they're all starting to move in that direction. I read the other day, Facebook has even opened up an entire blockchain division. It is the future, and we're not, we lean away from just there was a big push on the ICO side and coins and tokens. For us, that's a part of the system, but it's important to understand the mechanism what blockchain can be for its overall use. We're big believers. Don't fall in love with your technology. Fall in love with your customer. You fall in love with the needs you're serving, rather than that you have an idea that you have that you think can work. Be malleable enough to fit the needs of the consumers. What we're seeing is what people really want is they want to trust information, and they want easy access to it in a global world. And that's the great part of what blockchain technology provides.
Yes, and that's I've had some doubts about blockchain technology, but I'm kind of seeing that the benefits for companies like what you guys are doing, they are tremendous. They are it's something that's actually vital to the security and the safety of food, in particular foods and medications, because now we will have a way of documenting absolutely every step that anyone can go and look at, and that to me is huge. And that will, and which brings me to something that we kind of touched on before we started recording, and that is the protection of the strains. And over the past year, with all of the news coming out about cannabis, and like we were talking about just a moment ago, as far as the benefits of getting people off of opioids and eliminating that nastiness from our society. It's also a way of protecting the strains, the wide variety of different strains, and what each plant can bring to the table, and not allowing anyone to monopolize or actually patent, if you will, the genome. And because it wouldn't do any good for them to do that. Is that right, or am I out of line here?
No, you're speaking to a really a very harsh truth about the concept of patent law as it exists today. And I for full disclosure, I was a lawyer in a previous life, and so I got a little bit of knowledge in this sector. The problem with patent law as a whole is that it hasn't really evolved over the past 300 years as the world has evolved, right? And that's a number one, kind of a bigger problem. You can't create the breadth of a patent over something that's so dynamic. It just doesn't make any sense, and it defeats the purpose of why we have intellectual property law to begin with. Secondary to that is anybody from a big corporate ideation standpoint that thinks you can patent an entire classification of an agricultural product doesn't understand this plant well enough. You can have products that come out of a same mother plant grown under almost exact same conditions that yield very different products. And that's the beauty of the variety of the plant and of the medicine. The key for us and the mission of our company is to create validity when the product is already batched and produced, and providing that information to consumers, so consumers and regulators and physicians and everybody along the chain of custody can have visibility and verification that the product is what it says it is. And beyond that, really wanting to be able to reward good actors for making clean products. That's what excites us. And to be perfectly honest about technology like this, we can maybe even push this into other agricultural industries where good companies that are manufacturing under very good conditions can inform the public of all the great stuff they're doing digitally and dynamically with our rendered QR codes that we place on the packaging. At the end of the day, it's important, I think, for us as consumers, as Americans, as Canadians, as to be informed and have choices.
Exactly, and just like with the concerns that people have over organic foods and non-GMO foods, this would be a technology. What your company is doing right now with the cannabis industry could very easily apply to the local organic non-GMO farmer. I mean, it could say, "Here's my seeds, and here's the entire supply chain of the cauliflower that I grew from that seed." Is that right?
Yeah, that would be an ideal situation where we can have that level of transparency and available to consumers. And I think it's something that would never need to be mandated, because at the end of the day, you want the free market to determine something like this, rather than having a government come in and mandate something dogmatically. But I think consumers, as we're starting to see with the growth of Whole Foods and the growth of companies in that ecosystem of growing and producing good product, if you can inform the customers that you're doing fair trade and that you're doing things the right way, like, consumers are interested in supporting companies like that. And that's the reason I think that some of the bigger corporations that have had issues with their public relations as it relates to their practices.
That's correct.
Because we realize we can't sell our souls to corporate America. And at the end of the day, we're all in this together, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially something as vital to our actual being here on the planet. Like medication or food or water or just these basic necessities of life. I mean, these are things that we have to maintain our health and to make us better, make us think better, make us act better, make us be better people. And I think that what you were saying about the free market making these demands, I think that is going to, that as the public becomes better educated to what blockchain technology brings to the table, I think that people will begin to demand that. I think that they will absolutely embrace what you guys are doing and say, yes, Mr. Farmer down the road, can you please look at this technology and see how it can apply to what you're doing, so that we can have better, so that we can have a better understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think that that's coming. I don't think that anybody's going to have to regulate. I think it's just going to evolve.
We sure hope so as well. That's definitely a big goal of ours, is that transparency. Good product, great product for the consumers, so that for all of us.
Do you see financial benefits to what we've just been discussing?
I mean, for us, it's pretty monumental. I mean, we're a transactional model, because our platform is built to speed up the process of testing and transparency. We build our model in a way where we make money every time the product moves, and in turn, the more product moves, the more money we make, which is actually more money for our customers as well. So we don't want to come in and again, we focus on our customers and their needs. We feel like if we can make them more successful, we'll be more successful. It's like the little fish that swim on the backs of the sharks, right? You want to be there consistently riding in the big wave that's happening. You don't want to be standing in front of the shark's mouth while it's on the way. You want to be a part of it. So that, for us, there's an incredible, we believe there's an incredible economic opportunity, especially because we're at the forefront of this system, and we're a global technology. We're built to scale to the entire world, in any language, in any country, and be able to meet the manufacturing and testing standards of all the jurisdictions out there as legalization comes to the forefront.
Yes, and I think that it's going to be a revolution. I think that cannabis is going to be the next financial revolution out there. I think that it's going to be a revolution and on so many levels that it's going to really change the dynamics of a lot of our world. And
I would love to see it too in those communities that need it in America as well. where I'm originally from, I lived in California, but I lived in Texas as well, and I would love to see some of those communities that have fallen on hard times because they haven't necessarily been able to evolve to the changing landscape of technology. Perhaps this is an industry that can provide a new outlet for manufacturing and business and at the end of the day, our capitalistic needs that as good old red-blooded Americans.
Not only that, but all of a sudden we're a lot healthier on top of it.
That's a nice benefit too.
And I want to change and just look at what you guys are doing specifically. And I know that you've been working with Lior Gantz over at pureblockchainwealth.com, and they put together a great report that you can find over at pureblockchainwealth.com/first. And Rob, I understand that you recently, that you guys, all of this is new, and it's as far as what blockchain is coming to the market and trading, like we said at the top of the show, on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol DNAX, and coming soon on the U.S. Stock Exchange as well. Could you explain how you married the cannabis and blockchain sectors, and more specifically what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the goal here was tackling one of the biggest problems that we saw in the industry from our experience in California and here in Canada, which is consistency and validity of product for consumers. Oftentimes, you hear people coming across, needing to, not knowing what to buy or what to get, or not knowing what they're consuming, or having different experiences with the product, and that's a problem. As we always know, if we go get a certain glass of Chardonnay or a good cold beer, it's going to kind of do the same thing and taste the same way. Now, cannabis is very unique. It's a lot like wine. It's not going to be can't quite standardize it in that mechanism, but you can create a level of consistency if you know what your product you're buying. So the first thing we tackled was, let's look at creating this validation system that allows us to be able to work with the laboratories, work with the producers to communicate that on the back end. And then as a technology company, everything we're building is speeding up the process and providing visibility on the supply chain. And that's where blockchain really comes in, was being able to have a blockchain enabled supply chain for on the front end of the testing and then the genetic side of the ecosystem. And then as we move into the growing operations and working with track and trace companies and working with other providers to build a base layer open network that we can empower and use our information to help other systems run more efficiently. Because at the end of the day, that's really what we'd love to become. And working with companies like IBM, it's doing a lot of exciting things in supply chain. Those are companies that we want to talk to and want to work with. My partner's done a lot of work with Microsoft over the years. Another great company that we think is doing amazing things. For us, we love playing nicely with everybody. So that's really the architecture of what we built. And then the reason we built it, which is always our key, is to create validation and transparency of the product for the marketplace.
Yeah, Robert, I see back on June the 7th, you guys announced that you were going to partner with Derek Pedro, and he's going to be joining your advisory board. And Mr. Pedro is a co-founder and master grower at Marican, and he is part of the team of WebMD. And can you explain a little bit about this partnership and why it's important?
Yeah, well, we the guys over at WeedMD, we're really thrilled. They are actually an investor of ours. They're also our lead customer, and the reason for that is a couple things. One, WeedMD actually holds one of the largest libraries of genetics in the cannabis space in the Canadian market. So it was very important for them in their mission to have validity and verification and protection of their genetics as they start to do business with other licensed producers and put their product into the marketplace. So they loved what we were building and are loving how we're being able to start to automate some of their systems in-house and some of the tools we're able to provide to them. And in the course of that, we got introduced to Derek, who basically is their design and cultivation expert, along with some great master growers they have over there as well. And Derek, Derek's a pioneer in the Canadian markets. He's worked with a number of the LPs that have come online out here in Ontario. And for us, that's one of the big important things. We're very excited to have him on our team because it for technologists, it's important that as you're building and you understand code and you understand framework and you understand infrastructure of tech, you need guys that understand the plant and understand the real problems that you're trying to tackle and understand the real issues that the growers face. And being able to have that level of insight and input into how we develop and design is invaluable to us, in our opinion. We again, as we say, don't fall in love with your product, fall in love with your customer. And Derek is what we classify as the perfect customer for a company like ours. And he's able to bring so much knowledge to us and guide us in the right direction and tell us what we're doing right. And then more importantly, tell us what we're doing wrong so we can fix it.
Exactly. Getting it right is not a problem. Getting it wrong, you may not see all the time.
Exactly.
Oh, last question there, Rob, and then I'll let you get back to your morning. And you mentioned your team a couple of times and your leadership team of this company. I mean, who are they and how vested are they in this business? I mean, are you guys putting your own money on the table, or what's going on with your leadership team, and how are they vested in the business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we were very fortunate to have our board and our management team is led by. I was classified myself as just one of the luckiest guys in the world to work with folks like Tommy Stevenson, my partner of many years, my best friends. Tommy was the CTO for Ghost Group that developed weedmaps.com, and his company Heated Details has been developing some amazing technology for some of the biggest companies in the world, including the Mercedes-Benz and the Microsofts of the world, and really, really great stuff. And he's an amazing guy, and he understands cannabis and loves this industry. And then our chairman, Cameron Schell, is doing, he really is at the forefront of a lot of the exciting things happening in the blockchain sector, and working with the regulatory bodies and the SEC and really looking at how we build a mechanism to balance this exciting technology in this exciting sector with the needs to have regulatory oversight. So we're being guided by some amazing folks, and then we're also blessed to have Michael Kraft, who was the chairman or is the chairman at WeedMD, has a lot of experience in the capital markets and the Canadian marketplace on the LP side. On our board of directors, I always like to say he's our wise sage. He'll call me and give me the advice of what to do and not to do as a CEO. And my job as a CEO is to continuously be evolving and learning, be the best leader I could possibly be, empower the best people I can to be the best that they can be. And then as for our investing, we're all founders, right? So we all put in our own skin. We all put in our own blood, sweat, and tears along the way. And then we've been fortunate enough to, as we've gone into the marketplace, we had a very good round of initial financing, and we're to build some great tech and do some great things. And we're just thrilled to be doing business up here. And at the end of the day, our goal is to create the greatest return for investors. But the way we do that is to create the best products for the marketplace, so that our customers love us. And the old Starbucks model, right? It's like you grow and make it easy for consumers, and empower them with ability to get easy, quick coffee in the morning, right? And none of us, they're a big company, but none of us really complain about Starbucks when we're walking through there and getting that coffee in the morning.
No, not so much. But is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with that I may not have asked you about?
You know what? Right now, I would say just keep an eye on what we're up to over the next few months. It's an exciting time. Our platform is currently going through its what I like to call it's getting beaten up process. We got our guys just making sure that this thing works really well, and we'll be live in market with the producers up here in the Canadian market probably in the next 30 to 45 days, and really aggressively working with them as they start to evolve the model for the recreational space up here post legalization. Keep an eye on what we're doing. Write to your congressman and tell them, hey, these guys are doing something. You should work with them to maybe help us legalize the system here in the U.S. We'd love that.
Exactly.
And other than that, keep an eye out for our ticker on the OTC. The part that's exciting about being a publicly traded company is you get to know that what you're doing is involving a lot more people that you don't get to see on a daily basis. and that's an exciting thing. But it's also an incredible responsibility that we take very seriously, and we spend every day making sure that we focus on every decision we make is best suited for our company and those that are supporting us along the way.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And you can find out a lot more about what Blockstrain is doing over at blockstrain.io. And you can also, like I said, you can check out the report that pureblockchainwealth.com has put together at pureblockchainwealth.com/first. Symbols currently on the Toronto Venture Exchange, DNAX. Rob, thank you for all your time today. This has been awesome. I am so excited for you guys and look forward to speaking with you in the not too distant future.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you, Rory.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.